All right. Thank you, or welcome to Film Phreeks. This is Justin Llewellyn.
Eddie Williams.
And tonight we're going to be doing another audio review of a new Netflix film that came out earlier last week, which was Triple Frontier, which is directed by J.C. Chonder and stars quite an ensemble cast. You got Ben Affleck, Oscar Isaac, Charlie Hunnam, and among others. And this film, it deals with a group of like special ops soldiers that come to that get reunited after some time after serving together in the past, and they decide to team up to try to go after this this guy who's in Colombia as part of this cartel to try to rob from him it's in South America. And basically, as the plot goes along, there's not going to go into detail, but there's an event that goes down which basically caused them to have to try to, use their heads to try to get out of a bigger situation, especially with when they get deep into the jungle. Now, here's some interesting backstory. Now, this movie was directed by J.C. Chonder, who I'm not really too big familiar with. He's mainly known for a lot of drama films that I haven't seen, like All Is Lost, Margin Call, and A Most Violent Year. But this movie got me really curious from the trailer alone, because I like when they do these type of gritty heist movies, and it seems like they're really making a comeback with this genre.
And the cast is what really got me involved.
Yeah, me too, especially. And here's the other thing with that was that apparently this movie's been in development since 2010, because it was originally going to be directed by Kathryn BIgalow, who previously,
which actually, funny enough, she was executive producer of this.
Yeah, and basically, she, if you remember her, she directed previous movies like Zero Dark 30 and The Hurt Locker, and also the original Point Break. And the movie originally had a cast that I actually thought was interesting, but I kind of found it kind of was kind of a little kind of questioning what they were going to go for, because believe it or not, when the movie first was announced, they were going to have Tom Hanks, Johnny Depp, Tom Hardy, Channing Tatum, and a whole lot of other big stars that you really probably wouldn't see in these type of roles.
Yeah, it is kind of a weird role.
Yeah,
I
think. Cast. Yeah, and they were also going to get the other thing was that from 2010 onward, they were trying to get Tom Hanks on the role for a while, I guess to play possibly Ben Affleck's role. And then after some time fell through, they were also going to get Will Smith to play a role at one point, and then he had to drop out due to scheduling conflicts with another movie. And then, get this, there was also a point where Ben Affleck was cast initially, but then he dropped out due to personal reasons. And then at one point, they were going to get Mark Wahlberg to replace them. Yeah.
Interesting.
And then after a while, they got Ben Affleck on board again. So they went through so many different cast changes with this movie. It was out of this world. I mean, this is probably like the biggest different casting choices I've seen in a movie in a while.
Yeah.
But basically after the movie finally got a release, it was Kathryn BIgalow dropped out as directing. She just stayed on as executive producer instead. And upon seeing the film, I can honestly say that this movie was pretty damn good.
Yeah, it was a pretty damn good movie.
Yeah, I mean it's not as high ground. It doesn't really take a lot of high ground like a lot of other heist movies does, but I will say it's definitely up there as a movie that really kind of changes genres on you in a really good way, because this movie actually kind of starts out like your typical genre film, but midway through
it starts out kind of like if you've seen movies like Tears of the Sun. You got that old mercenary group's going to go in, kill, take money, heist type things, kill cartels. Then it becomes a survival film in the second half.
Yeah, which really threw me off, and which I found very interesting, and because we don't usually see these in heist movies. And
and now going into our pros, I will say for the cast was fucking great.
Yeah,
there was not one bad performance by anybody. They gave it like they were going for a major fucking Oscar worthy. I mean, it was really good. And I will say probably one of my praises of the film is the cinematography. Holy shit!
Yeah,
God,
definitely.
this was a beautiful movie. I mean, they captured the jungles of Brazil, the Andes Mountains of South America. Holy shit, it was so beautiful.
Yeah, and the way that absolutely, the cinematography really captures a lot of the beautiful landscapes and the gritty feel that they're going for. And the way it's shot, too, you couldn't tell me this is a Netflix movie. It looks so theatrically shot. And yeah, like you were saying, the cast I thought was all great, and it's good to also see that Oscar Isaac is also getting different roles, outside of his normal roles like in Star Wars and everything. And the biggest one for me, I was really glad to see, was Charlie Hunnam, because I find him very underrated, and I'm glad that he's getting more roles like this, because he's
and especially after his hiccup in King Arthur, which I don't blame him for at all.
Yeah. And so it's great that he's actually getting more like mature roles like this, and trying to really.
And I'll tell you right now, you can't go wrong. You can't go wrong with fucking Ben Affleck.
Yeah, he really brought. He always brings his A game, and he really shows it a lot here, like he always does. And he was great.
Yeah, and what's really pretty was actually I caught in the movie too. Charlie Hunnam, one of the partners, is. Character is brothers with Charlie Hunnam's character, and that's the guy from Four Brothers.
Yeah, Garrett Hedlund, who he was from Four Brothers, and he was also in Tron Legacy and all that. So he's had a lot more minor roles, but I actually find him to be an underrated actor too. So I'm glad that he's getting roles still. And so the biggest standout for me the most is the way that this film, I was on the fucking edge, because the way that these guys have to go through all the shit, it almost kind of becomes like Lone Survivor in the last act of the movie.
Yeah, exactly. I really got into the whole story. I they're all retired, and basically they're trying to go after this cartel guy who. Cartels, and that they pretty much end up running fucking a country. They're so powerful, and they scare people down in South America. And there's this really powerful guy they're after, and they're trying to eliminate him, take their money, and basically, if you can get this from the trailers, the reason why it's not only to eliminate this piece of shit dude out of this country, but it also they sit back and they realize what they did for a living never got them anywhere.
Yeah.
Money-wise. And that's one of the purposes of why they're wanting that money. So they're like, fuck it, we're going to take it all for ourselves.
Yeah, definitely. And I'll admit, the biggest, surprise, this movie has, it also goes not only into a direction I didn't think they would do, but also there's some shit that goes down this film I didn't fucking see coming at all, and it really got me.
I know, especially with one person. Let's just say vulnerability. It's like, what?
Yeah, and you're just like, how the...
That threw me off. I was like, whoa!
Yeah, definitely.
And I did look, it's like we were saying... It's a weird tone movie because there's some things that happen in the movie because, like we said, he's after a drug lord, and then this movie. I mean, it pretty much it's like a short in a way because it covers you get that all covered up in 45 minutes.
Yeah, about 45 minutes.
Becomes like fucking watching Everest.
Yeah, basically, if it was set in the same world as if it was set in the same universe as Tears of the Sun. So,
yeah, it's like Tears of the Sun, but Everest with all the snow and all that.
Yeah. And and that's what I'm saying. And man, the brutality in this I thought was really fucking gritty as hell too, man. Especially all the gunshots and everything. There's a lot of brutal shit that goes down. In fact, there's even some moral choices that some of the characters have to go through that I thought really fucking really made the stakes higher for me.
Exactly. And I like that they really showed. Well, I'll get into my cons on one thing, but I did like how the story was trying to push where whenever they're in the second half trying to survive to get to a certain area where they can get take off with the money. I did like how shit just kept going wrong. It went did a 180 on them constantly. So I give a praise on that.
Yeah. Definitely. Now, if I had just any minor cons I have with the movie, I will say that the first the setup I thought could have been maybe done a little better, because it did feel a little bit rushed in like the beginning of it, like because we're already pretty much thrown into the heist at the very beginning, and so
well, I didn't have a problem with that because I didn't really think that we were thrown in a heist at the beginning like so quickly. However, I felt like they didn't really explore the villain much.
Yeah, that I think was a big issue too.
And I mean, it's pretty much an in and out easy beat. It's like, and then it's like it wants to like have that so it can give why they want the money, and they want it to be more of a survival film. So it's kind of like, while I did like both of them going from one to another, I do feel like at the same time it hurts a little bit of the first half because of that.
Yeah,
because you feel the rushness of that.
Yeah, I get you.
I did kind of feel like that ending, even though like it's a good ending and stuff, but the climax where they're trying to get out, they're gonna get out of there and stuff. I kind of felt like, because there was no villain really, but just kids. It's like, could you imagine a Turtles movie where Shredder is gone in the middle of the movie, and then his foot soldiers are the closing?
Yeah, I got you on that.
I didn't really care for that.
Yeah, I got you. And there were some like kind of questionable things that they kind of do. Like this is kind of a minor thing. There's some kind of choices that they make in the movie, like especially in the first half, that I kind of get what they were going for, but at the same time I was like, no, they probably wouldn't do that in that type of situation. So that's just a minor thing, because I still...
There is vulnerability in this film. I wish they would have been... I felt like there could have been more stakes, because there's a vulnerability thing that happens, but it only happens to one, but it could have happened to others.
Yeah.
Could you imagine it being like so brutal, like Lone Survivor, where it's like, oh my god, that many people lost their lives? Could you imagine that?
Yeah, I got you.
If it would have went with more of that, or there was more vulnerability of others.
Yeah.
Like I thought they could have easily have had it a little bit more of that.
Yeah, I got you on that. But other than that, I mean, I will say that it's good that we're still getting these type of gritty crime heist movies that are coming back, because in the last few years I've noticed that we get them at least kind of like at the beginning of the year, and they still turn out pretty well. And so with that being said, even though I had some kind of I had some issues in some aspects, I still got really into the movie. I still really enjoyed the movie a lot. And with that, I'm going to give the movie a very high compelling grade on the Film Phreeks meter.
Yeah, I'm just going to go with the standard compelling grade in the Film Phreeks meter. Had they have had a stronger villain that kind of felt like harder to beat, and maybe could have added a lot more to do with the vulnerability other than just, strictly with one person, this movie could have almost break my first phenomenal of the year, but it didn't, so it's compelling grade.
Fair enough. For those of you who have also seen Triple Frontier, let us know in the comments below what you thought about it. And if you like what you see here, you can feel free to like and subscribe to our channel, and check out some of our other reviews here and our website at filmphreeks.com, and we'll be seeing you in our next review. We'll see you later.
Later.